All right, and we are back just like that. Hey, everybody, welcome to This Pink Cloud. I am DJ Kelly Reverb. There we go, yes. And we are a show that is all about recovery, multiple pathways to it, and all that kind of stuff. So be sure, like, subscribe. We're streaming on all major platforms, blah, blah, blah. Anyway,
Make sure to smash that like button. It's something that we say sticks to you, brother.
Ring that bell, brother. But excited to have this guy in, just fresh off of a parole violation. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Chad LeMans.
Hell yeah, dude.
How are you? Saddy chatty.
No, I'm saddy chatty daddy, dude. No, I'm good, man. I just got done with this guy that I fucking found that was homeless, and then we're bringing him onto the show, I guess.
Oh, nice. Well,
he had a car, though. He drove me all the way to this young person's conference.
Well, I was going to say we also went to Oklahoma the week before.
Yeah,
so
we
you've really been
all over the place.
Yeah, with that probation, dude. I love it, dude.
Just everywhere.
And then we just go public with it.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, thanks, man. I really appreciate that violation that's going to come in the mail. Thank you so much, dude.
Hey, you got it, buddy.
Hey, man.
Hey, brother.
You
got it, brother.
You're welcome, man.
You're welcome.
I know how welcome you truly are.
Anyway, good to have you back. Glad you made it in one piece.
Yeah.
That doesn't always happen.
Well, I'm missing a leg, so technically
that's
two
true.
pieces.
That's right. But excited to have this guy in. He is actually a last-minute fill-in for us, so I appreciate you doing this. But it is Charles Bowers. How are you, buddy?
I'm doing good.
Yeah? Fresh?
Very fresh.
Fresh? No, I was going to say fresh out of the dentist today, dude. You had to move some things around and kind of make sure.
Adjust it like this, because
you're
just covering up half of your fucking swollen face.
Yeah, right.
There you go.
We want to be able to show that you're on local anesthetics, so the puffiness in your face. But I appreciate you coming out, dude. So I'm excited to hear your story because I know there's a little relapse involved, which happens to be the case in a lot of recovery.
Yeah.
So, let's take it back, start us from the beginning, and let's get to know Charles.
As far as doing drugs and alcohol.
Well, I mean, how was your childhood? I mean, how were things growing up?
Why don't you take a seat? Why don't you have a seat?
Why don't you have a seat?
Why don't you have a seat? Why don't you take a seat?
Hansen.
Right.
Fucking no, man. It's one of those things where I look back and I can infer that I grew up with at least one parent who is a drug addict. But it was one of those things where they're not, they're like doing prescription drugs and things,
right.
and it's socially acceptable.
Yeah, and you don't really notice it when you're a kid, too, right?
Yeah, or you have no frame of reference because, like, you see stereotypical stuff, and it's like, well, that's not what I'm growing up with. This isn't drug addiction, right? And then I look back on it now, and it's like, yeah, well, it was still drug addiction. It just wasn't that my parents were giving me weed and alcohol and doing, other drugs that are normally thought of to be abusable.
Right.
So my mother, she would do Valium pretty consistently throughout my childhood, and so she would knock out, man. And I want to preface this with the fact that I am extremely grateful to my parents for the things that they've given me, the fact that I know they did their best.
Right.
You know what I mean? I'm not here to shit on them.
Right.
You know what I'm
it's
saying?
not shit on Mom Day. Yeah, we get it. Yeah.
And I have a lot of love for my parents still.
And that's good.
But I do have some lingering resentments to some of the things that they taught me, whether it was intentional or not.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
And so my mom was checked out. Pretty much, like, consistently.
Right.
And my dad worked a lot, and he wasn't home a lot. And so I was raised by my mom, who was consistently checked out.
Right.
And so there were aspects of neglect.
Are we just talking like sleeping all day, or how did it go? Like, I mean, you would wake up, would she fix you like have breakfast or anything like that, or
and that's,
or was it like self-serve, kid?
No, there were elements to both of that. Like, there was a lot of how can I put this? It was like bare minimum
Gotcha.
You know what I'm saying? It was like, here's your Tostitos pizzas and your fucking Hot Pockets and
Right.
bye.
Okay.
Because I'm going to go fucking sleep.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Uh-huh.
And then she would wake up in time for my dad to get home. And so he didn't know what the fuck was going on.
Right.
For like the longest time. And it was just, existing unsupervised, but being supervised.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Because there was somebody in the vicinity.
Right.
And so there was a lot of that, and I try not to take that and roll with it too much, but I do think whenever I think about why did I get to the point I did in my drug addiction and why am I the way I am today, and some of that does play a big part. So I grew up in East Plano.
Dude, this is so
that
funny.
says it all.
No, this is just so funny watching him talk with his fucking face now.
I can't say a P.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Plano.
Yeah. Just,
It's really funny on the drive over here. I was like, which words can I not? What letters are gonna fuck with me? And P is gonna be.
I was gonna say, we'll get you some paper towels, dude, just in case like a little errant drool comes out.
He looks like he's just like about to cry.
No, man. I mean, I got gauze. The hygienist gave me some gauze because I was like, I want to fuck with these guys.
Right.
And for the sake of the show, I walked in with these gauze in my mouth.
Oh yeah. No.
Yeah,
I was like,
dude.
yeah. He was like, I'm getting a teeth cleaning, and I was like, oh, okay, cool, then you'll be fine. But he comes in looking like he just got his teeth yanked. Oh no, dude.
What a fucking fill in that would be.
This will be fun. But anyway, so you grew up in East Plano.
East
Plano.
East Plano.
Plano.
And the area I grew up in is the schools were notorious for some shit going down.
Well, I hear like cheese and Chiba and all that stuff going on, and we've had actually who was it? The Mantra guy, CJ. Yeah. CJ and but it's the Mantra recovery guys. That I guess CJ was on the football team doing that.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay. Anyway. So yeah, we are aware of
the Plano
shit show.
trials and tribulations.
Yeah, right.
Yes.
Yeah. Plano's an interesting place. You know, I mean, there's lots of fucking drugs, dude.
Right.
So much, and it's one of those things where it's become so normalized, especially in high school. At least my experience was that there were so many people that it was just a part of life that there was no line of like, this is acceptable behavior and this isn't. It's like, yeah, but these people just can't hang. You know what I mean? And I found that to be like almost like a challenge as an adolescent. I could fucking hang, dude.
I can do them all. Right. Yeah.
I can hang a whole lot higher than you.
Yeah, that's right, man. But in early childhood, to avoid me being in the schools that they were hearing these stories, like in elementary school, kids getting sent to go sell drugs and shit. My parents spent a lot of money putting me into a private school for a few years. And it was pretty close to my house, but they also had me involved in sports and they had me involved in the church that we went to. The problem I see looking back on that there wasn't a cohesive like community there. And I just didn't fit in anywhere. I would go to school one place and have some friends, but then in a different setting, all these kids went to a different school and they clicked up. And then in a different setting, all these kids went to school and they clicked up. And I was there. I participated in a lot of shit, but at the end of the day, I wasn't like involved.
Yeah, you weren't part of. I mean? Yeah, you didn't have a crew.
Yeah,
basically, so to speak.
My parents did the same shit, but instead of going to because I grew up in Plano too. Instead of going to the school that was like in our neighborhood because it wasn't rated as high or whatever, and it wasn't bad or anything, but they spent a lot of money to like move me around to other schools, never private schools. I wasn't, that fucking cool.
Yeah.
But, because in Plano you can do that. You can like spend extra money to go to different
Yep.
schools.
Yeah, they have different
other than
academies in Plano and stuff like that.
Yeah.
That are actually free, actually.
Well, the public school, you can actually get a transfer out of your school zone.
Yeah.
As well.
Right.
That's what they were doing.
Yeah, and they did that with me too for a little bit because I only went to private school till second grade.
Mm-hmm.
And it's funny. I don't think in the end of the day, it doesn't really matter, but it's still a funny story. When I was in kindergarten, they held me back a grade because I bit my teacher.
Oh, nice.
Hell yeah,
dude.
dude.
All right.
And that was always this like thing for me because I was always older than everybody, like by just a year or so. You know what I mean?
Did you just come here to make an amends to your teacher, dude?
Yeah.
Say it out loud.
You were the
dude.
first. You were the kid that like had the driver's license first and everything.
Actually, no, because I was fucking up by that point.
Oh,
so,
nice.
Like, I didn't get no car. I stole a car.
Oh, well, there
you know
we
what
go.
I'm saying?
Right. But you could have been
if I was smart, I could have had a driver's license.
Right.
You know what I mean? As a
Right.
freshman or some
Sure.
shit. But yeah. But so I bounced around in schools a lot, and then in middle school is when I started getting into hanging out with like the stoner kids, the skater kids, you know what I mean, and started doing drugs the tail end of my 8th grade year.
Okay.
And it was one of those things like I really do feel like I felt accepted. But it was one of those things where it's like you can buy your way into the door. You get what I'm saying?
Right.
Like if you're a fucking drug addict and you walk in and you got a fucking bag,
right.
Everyone wants to
You're
be your
in,
friend.
dude.
You know what I'm saying?
You're
So,
automatically in.
So
right.
as long as I threw down on the pot, you know, it was like, yeah, come on, guys, let's all hang out after school and get high.
Right.
You know what I mean? And we would all do stupid shit to come up and
right.
On $20, like that's a fucking big deal. But when you were like 14, 15, like $20 is
a big deal.
It is a big
deal.
Yeah. And so I got into doing drugs that way.
Right. And was there a specific DOC, or was it like more pot, or was it, what was it?
At that point in time, I was just smoking weed. And I had, so it progressed like things do, and experimenting, like being young and then being one of the people who's willing to do drugs. It's like part of that finding yourself journey is like, what drugs do I like?
Right.
You know what I mean? What fits my characteristics and shit. And so I found for a long time, like I didn't have a problem with alcohol when I was a pothead. You know, I could take it, I could leave it. It didn't matter, man.
Right.
And I got into eventually, it was like after high school more so, I got into cocaine use. And toward the tail end of my high school, I got into doing K2. We were talking a little bit about that.
Yeah. So tell everybody if they don't know what K2 is.
So K2 is synthetic marijuana. What it is it's herbs, a variety of household herbs or things people normally would make tea out of that are sprayed with a chemical.
Right.
The original chemical was like JWH something.
Yeah,
and
27 or 29.
Yeah,
I think
it's
it was.
been modified so many fucking times.
Well, and basically, it's plant matter sprayed with a research chemical that sometimes we don't know what it is. Yeah.
We never know what it is, really.
Yeah, sure. There's not a list of ingredients on there.
The one thing we do know is that it's labeled not for human consumption,
Absolutely.
and that's exactly how they can sell it legally.
I
Until that
love-
chemical gets banned, and then they add another molecule to it.
I love that it says not for not for human consumption.
Yeah.
As the disclaimer on there.
Yeah.
But what do they sell it as? Incense.
It's like incense.
Incense. Okay.
You're told like if you're and you can still buy this shit. Dude.
Oh yeah.
I mean, you can go to I'm not gonna name drop
right.
places,
Yeah.
but,
You're not gonna advertise.
Right. But I'm just saying you can go to whatever stop and be like, I need the incense.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And they'll be like, okay, man. Yeah, for sure. I got you, bro. And I mean, and they're not all like that. There might be some places that are like, no, we don't fuck with that shit.
Right.
You know what I mean? But
well, so the crazy thing about it nowadays, dude, is they shut off mail in all of like the Texas Department of Corrections, like county jails, everything. They shut off incoming mail, and now it gets scanned and it's electronic, right? Because they not only is it just was it the herbs or whatever. They just started selling the straight up spray. So people would spray pieces of paper with it.
There we go.
And then they were like, okay, well now fentanyl is getting big, and people started doing that same shit with fentanyl, dude. You fucking liquefy it and spray a piece of paper with it, and then they're just, getting inundated with that shit, dude. So they've now shut off mail because you can just buy the fucking chemical itself, dude. The goddamn internet's an incredible place, man, apparently.
Yeah, a lot of that shit comes from China too.
Right. Hey, blame it on them.
China. No, I was talking to a guy one time about his experience with K2, and he was selling it. and it got to the point where he was just buying like pounds of this mixed herb, and then he would buy the chemical and they would saturate it in a solution like alcohol, and not like, oh, they're fucking using vodka, but it's like they'd get like food grade alcohol like ethanol or some other sort of solvent and saturate the chemical so it could be an air, you could spray it on shit, and they would just lay it out on a table and spray it all down. And he was like, yeah, we just got it from China and it's stupid cheap. I mean, we're talking about these guys are turning $50 into $5,000.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
By selling Nick bags out.
Yeah.
And then he was telling me a story that this one dude just smoked a bowl of the powder.
Right.
Like it was DMT or something. Like he put it on top of the herb. Just the powder. And like he was like, the dude that's telling me the story is like, I thought I was going to have to bury a body.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Well, I mean, I've seen people actually have very adverse effects, like call the EMTs to K2.
Oh, yeah.
I've seen that for sure.
Oh, but it'll make you crazy.
Yeah.
It'll make you stark raving mad.
And so that was your DOC for a little bit.
At one point in time, yeah.
So and how long did you
was that a
have
probation thing?
It was a probation
thing. Man, that makes sense. I had a lot of friends that did that too.
So you're trying to avoid the P test because it's not picked up on the...
It's like, well, I can't quit smoking weed. I'm going to start smoking this shit, dude.
Right.
Yeah.
So, and then how long did you navigate that?
It was about a year and a half.
Wow, okay.
Yeah,
and so was that daily?
It was.
Okay.
Like constantly, man.
Yeah.
There was one.
He got real serious. Like constantly, bro. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was the time in my life I looked back and I did the most fiend shit. You know.
Right.
Stealing change from people in their house. I mean, you're talking like I got $1.50. Well, that's like 15% to a bag, dude.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like fiend ass shit.
Right.
Yeah, man, it was not a great time looking back on it. So how I got into it really is I got a charge my freshman year. So this is like a year into my drug use.
Right.
And I started selling pot, just so I could have it. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah. You gotta keep the supply chain going. So you know you gotta fund your hobby.
Yeah, man. And it was one of those things too. I saw the financial damage that my parents were going through. They were going through some like major debt issues, and like me being 14, I'm like, can I have $20 to go whatever? And then like I don't remember what happened, but I remember something happened and one of my parents blew the fuck up on me about money. And I was like, I'm never asking y'all for a cent.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Sure.
So I'm going to turn this 60 bag into a 70.
Right.
Into an 80. You know what I'm saying? And worked up like that. But at one point in time, I got caught up at school selling a kid a gram of weed.
Okay.
You know, and caught a felony charge on it.
Okay.
And he... well, not going to go into that, but I ended up going into I always forget about this part of my story a lot because it was so long ago. I was 16 and I was trying to stop smoking so I could like go to court and be doing the right things, doing what the lawyer said, and I go to this party, right? And well, I have a couple guys approach me after school on a Friday, and they're like, "Hey, bro, can you hook us up?" And I was like, "No, I'm not trying to do that.
Right?
You know, I haven't got in trouble. Blah blah blah." And they're like, "Come on, dude, just take us to the dude's house. Like, I'm not asking you to do it.
Yeah, right.
You know what I mean?" And so we go there, and they had 4 Locos. Like the guys I was with had bought some 4 Locos, and fucking assholes, they didn't buy me one.
Right.
You know what I mean? They're just fucking like, well, we're gonna do this shit, and then they proceeded to drink them. But they got so fucked up, they only drank like a quarter or half of theirs, and I killed all theirs.
Oh, wow.
Because I was sober
from
smoking weed. You know what I'm saying? I ended up in the fucking hospital that night, dude.
Oh, wow.
Like,
from the 4 Locos.
From the 4 Locos. Because my so-called friends at this point ditched me at the dealer's house.
For people that don't know what 4 Locos are.
It's caffeinated infused. It's like an energy drink with alcohol.
Yeah, and was that like the first formula that they had? Oh, yeah, dude.
Yes, this is the OG shit.
Round
they fucking outlawed that.
Yeah.
They had to change the fucking structure of it. Yeah, it was killing people.
I had a heart rate close to 200.
Wow.
And I had my systolic blood pressure was over 200.
Wow.
And my systolic, which is the low number, is like 180.
And Charles likes to say, I wasn't smart. I'm not smart. You hear all this bullshit he's talking? It's diatolic, systolic, these chemical structures, dude. Fuck out of here.
So anyway, So that's happening, and then what? Like the K2 thing and all that. So what? Where is it? Where does recovery become a part of the story? Like, how does that happen?
So I was getting to that because it's one of those things where when I said I forget about this part of my story a lot, it's like, so I ended up going to rehab pretty soon after that episode.
Okay.
Because I literally woke up on the street with a paramedic shining lights in my eyes.
Oh,
and
wow.
like, yeah, you're passed out on the sidewalk at 2:30 in the morning, dude.
Right.
Like someone called on you.
Right.
You know, because the drug dealer was just like, dude, get the fuck out of here.
Right.
It's 2 a.m. Like, you can't stay here. You know, and I was, it was messed up. But a few months later at that point, I ended up going to an inpatient. And I was there for 60 days.
Okay.
For 2 months.
Okay.
And that was my first exposure to recovery. They had NA meetings there.
Okay.
So it was funny, on Sundays you could either go to an NA meeting or you could go to what they called church.
Okay.
And it was like, I went to church a couple times and it just wasn't for me, you know. And so I started going to NA, and you know, I got a lot out of that experience looking back. You know, at the time I didn't want it. And that was a crazy ride. But anyway, so just get out of there, go to an NA meeting. You know, I'm 16, and I get high out of my first NA meeting.
Okay.
Outside of it.
Right. And this was after you were out of rehab for 60 days?
Right. So I had been in rehab for 60 days. This was like my first week out. So I had like 70 days of sobriety.
Right.
And I got high on K2. Because this kid was sitting out there. We were smoking cigarettes, and I'm like hanging out, like, where can I bum another cigarette?
Yeah.
Because I don't know, because that's the thing I'm doing at that point.
Right.
You know, it's just, you know, I'm gonna smoke as many cigarettes as I can.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because I'm 16 and I'm.
That's that's the bad boy thing to do. Yeah.
Right. And this guy's like, you want to smoke a bowl? And I was like, nah, man, I'm on papers. I can't say no because I'm trying to be clean or nothing. Right.
Yeah.
Like, fuck that. You know, it's just because I can't.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, cool. Because you got the street cred, because, you know, it'll be a parole violation or whatever.
Just,
you know,
just that people-pleasing bullshit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, wanting to put on a front. And you know, going back to what we were talking about before, is like, I would do a lot of I think a lot of my drug use was about not feeling accepted. Yeah. Not feeling
sounds like
involved in something.
Right.
And
well, it sounds like you were trying to find your tribe the whole time, really.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly, man. And so, that started that ride on K2, and so I was on probation, and I was still smoking a little bit of pot, and I kept getting in trouble with pot, man. I look back on it, and, like, you know, they say, like, marijuana is not addictive, and, like, I can understand what people say about that, because it doesn't act on the dopamine system in your mind like alcohol or cocaine will. But you can make anything addictive.
Oh, hell yeah.
You can be addicted to anything. I mean,
it's also, they say addicted personality, you know? And I mean, you can be addicted. Like, I mean, Chad's addicted to masturbating, dude. Yeah. So, I mean,
Jesus
it's all
Christ.
good, dude.
Especially with his own music going on in the background.
Especially him calling himself Chatty Daddy in the mirror.
So, Kelly was talking to me the other day because, you know, he's old and stuff. And
and
he has trouble. He has trouble making music, and but I don't. And he's like, dude, like,
you have trouble getting it out.
He was like,
you have trouble for people getting it out to hear it.
I was about to say something nice about you, dude.
After I kind of shit on you, dude.
Yeah. So, and he was like, man, it seems like, because, you know, I fucking sent him a song. I was like, all right, cool. I just started this and blah 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 and blah blah blah, and I did that like fucking, you know, 4 times in 3 days. And he's like, dude, don't take this the wrong way, man, but, like, I feel like you're just kind of, like, addicted to fucking writing music now. And I was like, well, dude, like, it's a lot better. And then I heard a bell ring in the background, and his wife was like, Kelly, it's time for your change.
That's all right.
So I guess he had shit himself in the middle of that conversation.
There we go. That was a long way for a
shit yourself joke. Yeah, right. There you go, dude.
But no, dude, I actually think that, like, with you, it's just like you're using music as a replacement, and also as validation, dude. Like, because you're probably. Like, you're real worried about everybody hearing this and, like, sending it out to people. It's just like, you know, if you're a painter or you make a piece of art. It's cool. Yeah, you want to share it with the world eventually, but it's almost like that drug. Like you need that validation immediately, and you're looking for everybody to tell you.
There is some to that, but at the same time, it's like, dude, I just like if I like it, somebody else is gonna fucking like it, and I want to get it out as fast as possible. And I still don't understand the rules that you do of like the music.
Well, no, it's not, and it's not that. It's just like you're looking for that that hit right away, like that validation right away, just like you do with drugs.
Yeah, man. Well, it's fucking way safer alternative, dude.
Well, no, and I agree, but I'm just saying, I mean, it is like you're a music fiend instead of a drug fiend.
Dude.
Yeah,
fuck yeah.
But anyway, let's throw to commercial real quick, and then I want to talk about relapse with you because I know that's a part of your story.
Yeah.
Real quick, we got Max the X. Love that guy. He is actually a personal injury attorney. He's practicing in Texas and California. If you go to thispinklawyer.com, it will take you to the nice. It will take you to his website, which is Lone Star Injury Attorneys. Be sure and hit him up. Send him an email. He will get back to you regarding your personal injury needs. And then Chad is going to play some new music. Speaking of new music, we've got some stuff that is out on Lone Star and self-released, and it's doing quite well. That was Flashback and Closer, so please, if you're on Spotify, Apple Music, you can stream it anywhere you want, and then we're also on Beatport if you'd like to purchase it.
Yeah.
And but yeah, it's funny because that Closer ad on Instagram, I went to boost it, because that's how you promote your music, kind of, and I went to boost it, and it got flagged for sexual content. I'm like, how, dude? It's like,
that's fucking stupid.
No, it's just weird.
Oh, because of the chick.
The AI is like taking over, and the song was probably too sexy or something like that.
Bodies moving to the beat.
Right. Anyway, so please support us if you can. And then back to Charles's story. I know you were
Charles.
Sir Charles
Bowers III. Indubitably, sir.
But let's talk about like where you're at with your story. I know like that relapse plays a part of it. Mm-hmm. So like you were clean for 60 days, then you get out, hit the K2 again, and then at what point what makes you want to get clean, and what age?
So that was happening. What we were just talking about was happening when I was 16, and then. When I turned 18, I got off probation. I was on drug court, and I passed it successfully. Fucked up the whole time because I learned to play the game, man. You know? And
well, I mean, you're circumventing the system anyways by smoking K2, which is not, they can't find in a urine test.
Right. And I got off on that too.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. There's a certain amount of ego that goes into that. So I got off probation and I started smoking weed again. Mm-hmm. And I remember thinking to myself, this doesn't scratch the itch. Because like when I was on K2, that was some fiend shit. Like it was bad.
Right.
I've never smoked crack, but I remember getting out of the second treatment I went to and went back to smoking K2. I went and picked up my bag and a pipe and a lighter for like $10, and I got so high I literally thought in my mind, I was like, if I could explode right now, I would explode from fucking crumbs.
Right.
You know what I mean? And I got to the point where I was smoking a blunt of that shit a day.
Right.
To myself.
Wow.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so I got off probation, started smoking weed, and I'm like, this ain't it, but this soothes it.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? This is the balm on the itch. It doesn't scratch it.
Right.
And I got into doing just smoking weed all the time for a few years, and I would get caught up with possession, and I would just sit it out because I wasn't willing to quit until I got caught up with some wax, which is marijuana concentrate. And I got a 3rd-degree felony.
Oh, wow.
And
congratulations.
Yes, yes, thank you. I worked very hard for it.
Right. So wax is THC concentrate. Or, okay.
Yeah, and it was almost a year from when I got my charge to when I got on probation, and I quit smoking about a month before that because there was this dude that when I was going to high school with, he killed himself while he was on some synthetic acid, and something over a chick. You know what I'm saying? And it was one of those things where I was like, this kid, like, he was like one of my first friends, one of the first people I felt accepted with, and he was the person that I did drugs with the first time.
Right.
You know what I mean?
So he's your boy.
And we hadn't talked in years.
Right.
Because he had gone off in the left field, I'd gone off in the right field on my dumb shit too.
Right.
You know what I mean? Respectively, but it was one of those things where I was like, I would like to think he would want me to stop me coming to this point where, like, if I don't change something up, I'm going to prison, man. And for at least 2 years, because I got a 2 to 10.
Right.
And so I quit smoking pot. I got on probation the next month, and within 2 months of that, I started drinking like I used to smoke pot. I started working in the restaurant, in a restaurant environment where everyone would drink after work.
Right.
And so what they were doing maybe 2 or 3 days a week, I ended up doing every day of the week.
Sure.
And then I was doing it all the time. I mean, I remember one day being at work and just joking while drunk to one of the servers who was washing dishes, and I was like, I'm an alcoholic. I'm drunk right now, dude.
Right.
Like, what's up? And
the truth is you were.
I was. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, and I did that for about a year and a half too.
Right.
Until the PO was just like, dude, you've been on probation for like, I don't even remember how long you've been at that point.
You're a lifer, dude.
She was like, you failed so many drug tests for alcohol, which is like the easiest thing to skate. And I was trying to play the game.
Yeah, because I mean, dude, alcohol, like, you only have to have 24 hours and you're good. Yeah.
And and I still managed to mess it up. I have no power of like, if I just do like this one day where I don't drink, I'll be good. And anyway, so I quit drinking. I had that PO meeting, had this like intervention thing, and she's like, I'm not going to put you in jail. I want you to do 90-90 in AA, and then do another IOP. Or do an IOP and some more community service or some shit like that, and instead of going to jail, because I believe you when you say you want to quit, you just can't. And I was like so grateful. I left there. I almost went to that first meeting. I did.
I almost went.
Right. And I went home. I don't remember what I did, but I know the next day I had 1 drink, and the day after that I had 2 drinks, and the day after that I had 3 drinks.
Sure.
And that 4th day is when I quit drinking. That's the last day I had to drink.
Okay.
Yeah. And that was like 6 years ago.
Okay.
What IOP did you end up going to?
I ended up going to Grace Change.
Yeah.
Hey,
man.
GTC.
Shout out.
We got her
Grace
coming up.
Change,
Yeah, that's going to be great.
Shameless plug.
But so then all this is happening. So what? I mean, I'm sitting here listening to your story. What would you tell a younger version of yourself, as far as, like, advice?
So fucking old.
No. Hey, listen, dude. This can actually be insightful.
I know, dude,
dude.
but just the way you said it, dude. Jesus
All right.
Christ, dude. Change your fucking diaper.
Okay. Anyhow. Hey, everybody, I'm Chad. I'm funny. Anyway, dude, so
a younger version of myself. What would
yeah,
I say?
dude. What would you say to yourself?
Dude,
I mean,
I would just say,
quit being a dumbass.
Yeah,
right.
dude. I would say, try to be truer to yourself.
Yeah.
Because I look back and I don't even think I ever liked doing drugs. Like, I had some fun times for sure. I had some really depressed times, right? But I remember when I got back into smoking weed after the K2 episode, and I was like, I don't even like this. But if I build enough tolerance to it, I can manage.
Right.
You know what I mean? And then I can hang.
Right.
You know what I mean? And all I'd have to say, man, is like you might like to the person, if I were speaking to my younger self, it's like, yeah, you might find some quality people in drug use, because like I have people in my life that I met while doing drugs that are fantastic people. You know what I mean? It's not a black and white type of thing.
Yeah.
But a lot of the people that I met weren't my friends. They did not have my best interest in heart.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I would just say, find your people. And it's probably not in drugs.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, sure. Well, and then you were talking also about, you know, relapse and everything like that. Because so you were clean for 6 years, and then
no, I wasn't.
okay,
clean
let's
for 6 years.
let's hear this. Yeah,
I was sober.
So well, yeah,
right?
and I mean, there's California sober,
Yeah.
and you were your own version of California
I
sober.
was on some fucking half measures. You know what
Okay.
I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like,
so
and I remember, so when I reestablished my sobriety date, I was actually giving my story on the fly, you know, and it was one of those things where I just had a conversation with my sponsor at the time, and he was just like, I don't know what to tell you, man, but it says on those ships, to thy own self be true.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And I remember when I came back into the program, because I had like 3 years outside of the AA program.
Yeah.
Because that's what got me sober. That's what got me like cleaned up.
That's what you would
AA.
say was AA was your go-to.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because from the time I quit drinking to the time I got into AA for real, I was in there, but I didn't really want to be clean. I didn't want to be sober. I just didn't want the consequences. And it took. I started doing Xanax just like I started drinking, just like I started using pot.
Right.
You know, all the time.
Sure.
To cope with my emotions. And it got to a point where I was going to fail another drug test, so I checked myself into a mental hospital.
Okay.
And after I was in the mental hospital for about a week.
Okay.
And I was about to get out.
What was going on with you as far as why you checked yourself in? Just severe depression or
severe
what?
depression, mental obsession over like my mind would replay these scenarios that I look back and it's like things just didn't go my way, and I was embarrassed about the way I acted.
Okay.
And my mind wouldn't let it go. And it would just replay and replay and replay.
Yeah.
I was like planning to cut myself.
Yeah.
You know, because self-harm was like this thing that I picked up as an adolescent.
Yeah. Well, a lot of adolescents do.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
And I was telling the people at the IOP I was at, I was like, I'm going to fail this drug test. Like, they're going to throw me back in jail, blah, blah, blah. I might as well just fucking slit my wrist, dude. Fuck this. And they're like, you know, if they're like, you should go to the mental hospital. Like, that's not cool.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
And I'm saying this, they did me good by saying this. But what they were like, but if you check yourself in, you won't have to take that drug test. And I'm like, hell yeah, y'all know what's up. You know what I mean? So I went in and I was getting ready to just walk in and tell them what they wanted to hear and walk out and be on my bullshit. And I had this moment in the middle of the night one day where my mind wouldn't shut off. It wouldn't shut up. And I was in the bathroom banging my head on the fucking tile, trying to get the fucking the noise to stop. And it was like, maybe you should get the help you need.
Right.
You know what I mean? I don't know why that was like the sign. You know, being in the mental hospital is one thing, but like fucking slamming my head against the wall in the bathroom, and it was still this like, I don't know, man. I don't know if I need help. I got it.
I don't know. I think I got this, dude. A couple more blunt strikes to the head. I think I'll be good.
If I just have a severe enough concussion, you know,
I
can manage my own life.
There you go.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But that was when I had my first sobriety date, was when I checked into the mental hospital. I quit, you know.
And when was that, like,
that was
timeline-wise?
December 21st of 2017.
Okay.
And so I like dived into AA, and I got as honest as I could.
Right.
But I still had reservations of doing certain drugs.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I was like, well, I'm not drinking, I'm not doing coke, I'm not smoking pot. Bill Wilson did acid.
Right. Yeah. Wow.
Right?
Yeah.
You know. So that wasn't a relapse in my first year of sobriety where I was doing acid or shrooms. And then later on, when I was like still, you know, and I would do them periodically, like it wasn't the kind of thing where I went off on a binge. It wasn't. The
it
kind
was
of
more
thing
of
where
a
my life fell
quote
apart.
unquote slip.
I mean,
will,
I wasn't even looking at it like that, man.
Yeah,
it was just like I was still. wasn't willing to give that up. You know what I'm saying? Like I thought that it was.
But
still
you had
cool
given
for
up
me.
alcohol at that time,
yeah,
so then you could justify it that
Right.
way by saying, "Hey, I'm not drinking."
Yeah, and another thing you said to me about it too is like you consciously went out of your way to do it.
Absolutely.
It wasn't like you were at some fucking music festival and somebody just walked up and they were like, "Here, man."
Yeah.
In the middle of like your favorite band playing. You
No,
know what
I
I mean,
hoarded-
you like
I
you,
hoarded
you
that
hoarded
shit.
the stuff and then went out of your way to do it.
Yeah,
so.
I had a stockpile of psychedelics at one point in time, so I could do it whenever I wanted.
Yeah.
When the circumstances lined up.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And I look back on it, and at the time, my ego needed the ability for me to say I have X amount of sobriety.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because if I were to constantly be reestablishing my sobriety date because I don't know, I was
tripping balls
'cause I was
watching
tripping
the
Right.
balls,
movie.
Yeah.
or whatever the hell, you know. If it was like, because some people are like, if you're not about this shit, man, get the fuck out.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? They're
Yeah,
like,
some
if-
people
if
are
I
all
still
or
have the
nothing.
reservation
Right.
and I'm talking about it with someone and they're like, well, you're not really sober. That shit doesn't count. That's some half measure shit. So you
Right.
might as well just go fucking kill yourself, dude.
Right.
Like, because get sober or die, motherfucker.
Right.
And it's like, nah, man. Like, I needed the ability for me to say, I have 3 years sober or whatever.
Right.
You know, it really was like a year and a half that I was
Right.
like involved in AA, and then I went out dry.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because I was sporadically doing stuff, but I wasn't ever in a position where I was consistently intoxicated like I had been, where I was self-medicating.
Right.
You know what I mean? I just still wanted the experiences.
Right.
That I would like fantasize about with psychedelics, you know, because like I had a few psychic or spiritual experiences as the literature in AA can talk about, and some people claim you get from psychedelics, and so it was like I wanted to hold on to the ability to have that spiritual experience at my fingertips. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And but I stepped away from AA and I was doing that shit periodically, and then and it was in line with COVID is why I stepped away from the program, but really it was because I got what I wanted in the sense that I got in a relationship. And
You were just. I go to AA for the girls.
no, man. I mean, like it was one of those things where I had wanted
Well, no,
a
you were.
relationship.
It was like you were filling a void, and you had
Exactly.
gotten a relationship, and
Exactly.
then you were like mission accomplished.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Well, I was filling the void with making meetings.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I hadn't really. I was as honest, I think, as I was capable of being at the time when I did my first 4-step and all that stuff. When I first went through
First
four step, yeah. But it was one of those things where I had the obsession to drink removed. You know what I mean? I got a lot out of life that I had been missing out on, but I didn't want to completely give myself to the concepts that they talk about in that program. There were some
Right.
reservations I had, and one of those being the ability to still do certain drugs.
Spirituality
at my
on
leisure.
command.
Yeah, spirituality at command, man.
There you go.
And then me and girl broke up.
Ah,
So
yeah.
a few years later, three and a half years later, and I come stumbling into AA sober, but just fucked up. You know, emotionally, I wasn't sleeping, I wasn't eating, I lost a lot of fucking weight. And I came in, and the guy that was my sponsor this past couple of years, he picked me out of the meeting. He'd seen me a couple times, and he was just like, "Do you want to fucking die?"
Right.
And I was like, "What the hell?"
Right.
You know, and he was like, how about, you know, I see you coming in here, dude, and you're strung the fuck out, dude. Like you're fucked up. You're messed up. This is, if you want some help, if you want to do this thing, man, we can do it. You know, I want to help you, but at the same, because I see it.
Yeah.
And he was like, I relate. You know, I can see it. You know, you spot it when you got it. You know what I mean? And so he called me out, and he's like, well, how about, here's my number. Call me when you're ready. And a few days later, and that time I'm just like, yeah, whatever, dude. I've done the steps. You know what I'm saying? I know. Fuck. I get
Right.
this. You know what I mean? I'm just
Right.
going through a fucking hard time. Let
Sure.
alone that the AA program talks about, hey, this is how you deal with a hard time, dude.
Right.
I wouldn't have been that spun out if I'd been doing the shit.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Sure.
But it was like 3 days later, I was like, I think I'm almost ready. And he's like, what the fuck are you? Who are you? Like,
Right.
you know,
Yeah.
what? And he's like, all right, whatever, man. And then about a weekend after I'd met him, I was like, I'm finally ready, dude. I'm
Right.
finally ready. And so I went through the steps again
Mm-hmm.
in a little bit different way.
Okay.
More traditionally. I'd say the first time I think I went in a little bit of an unorthodox way.
Mm-hmm.
We worked a lot out of the 12 and 12 at that time.
Mm-hmm.
But this last time I went through the steps, we went through the 164 word for word.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Page by page,
Mhm.
week by week. And we're able to have a lot of conversations about it.
Right. And then how long have you been in recovery this time? Or
So I claim my sobriety date to be October 27th of last year.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and I think that's important that you say the to thyself be true.
Yeah.
You know, because that's a huge part of the program in general.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so I think that's admirable that you actually did that and you got honest with yourself. And then, you know, I do wish you the best of luck, you know, now in your sobriety. But, you know, it just sounds like, you know, like we all are, you're a work in progress.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but I want to thank you for coming on, dude.
Yeah, dude. It was fucking... And I want to thank you for, you know, taking me out to fucking �𝐉𝐘𝐒, dude. Like, shout out to that fucking place. Jesus Christ, dude. Talk about how fucking cool that was.
Yeah.
What were some of the fucking highlights you saw there, dude?
Oh, man.
Y'all went to a recovery.
It's a young person's AA conference.
I love how Chad just all of a sudden expects the listener to know where y'all went this weekend.
Well, it was cool enough for me to buy this fucking sweatshirt.
Okay. All right, dude.
So 𝐓𝐇𝐈𝐒 is young people's in AA,
Mm-hmm.
and they have these conferences.
Mhm.
They have them in every state, pretty much that I'm aware of, at least. And they'll have them annually, semi-annually, quarterly. Like Texas has one for a specific region. It's a quarterly camp out in New Braunfels.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just there's layers to it, right?
Mhm.
There's the international young people's in AA conference going
Right.
on in Austin next year.
Cool.
And so that's like pulling from the world, man.
Yeah.
But then there's small ones that are like this one in New
The one
Braunfels.
in-
You know what
yeah,
I'm saying? So,
uh-huh.
so Arkansas's young people's conference goes every year,
Uh-huh.
and it's a camp out
Uh-huh.
on a mountain. And they bring people. I mean, there were people from Boston.
Right.
There were people like we're from Dallas.
Sure.
You know what I mean? They're drawing from everywhere.
Yeah. And what kind of events do they have going on there?
So they will have panels,
Mhm.
meaning like they'll get 4 people lined up at a table, and
Mhm.
they'll have a topic,
Mm-hmm.
and each person will share their experience on a specific topic, and then they might have time for questions.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So it's a little bit of story time
Right.
on specific things in sobriety, and it could be like, so what's your experience with relapse?
Right.
What's
Yeah.
your experience with romantic relationships in sobriety?
Mhm.
You know what I mean? What's your experience? Whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And it's one of those things where there's not like a hard definition of what young people
Uh-huh.
is. Like one of the first things they had on Friday, because I remember Chad was like, I think I'm too old for this fucking young people shit, man.
Right.
And one of the first panel they had is, am I too old for 𝐓𝐇𝐈𝐒? You know what I mean? And, the
And
answer,
it had a picture of Chad.
it did. Yeah. But the answer is, it doesn't fucking matter. Dude.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Sure.
Are you young at heart? Do you want to be a part of the solution
Right.
in this context and,
Right.
and reach out to young people?
Right.
So there are a lot of gray hair there, but at the same
Sure.
time, it's like people are fucking partying. There's bonfires. Like
Right.
it's
It's a fun environment.
yeah, absolutely.
It was
Gotcha.
wild, dude.
Well, cool. Well, I appreciate you coming out. We've actually got Mark Faust coming
yeah.
on next week, dude. I'm excited for this guy. He is actually the the Dallas County Divert Court. So we're going to talk about that, and I love what he offers. But thanks for filling in, dude, and thanks for making it from the dentist. And,
yeah, dude.
Hell yeah.
I'm glad it wasn't more gnarly than it was. You know.
Yeah. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, man.
Plano.
I know.
Well, I appreciate you coming out, and Chadwick, as always, I appreciate you coming out.
Yeah.
And remember, kids, there is no magic pill for sobriety, because if there was, we would all take too many.